Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. I'm here with Allison. Thought we were gonna take. We are not. This is
a maintaining frame. No worries. Okay, what happened with Karen was last time we dealt with this individual, Professor Sam Vaknin, and Karen became despondent. Because it's one thing to listen to people who, you know, either have no reason to get it or just are incapable of comprehending, but to listen to somebody who should be able to, you know, just get that one last step towards a conclusion that makes reasonable sense going forward instead of continuing to think in ideological terms, it can get really frustrating. So she's taking a mental health day. She's taking a mental health. Yeah. She's gonna chill. She's gonna be with her dogs. She's not.
People saying I'm the quiet one, not you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a turnabout.
The switch.
Yeah, it is. Holy man.
I'm not sure if this is right, but I'm testing the levels now. Is that better?
I can't tell. You sound great.
I know
to
you
me.
can't tell. I may have nudged the dial a little bit.
We are always doing this sound sort of in blind in some ways, you know, like because apparently we can't really test the sound until we start live. So, all right.
Not for each individual person in the call.
So to get people up to speed, because we didn't put this out on YouTube, but the Twitter people would have watched the previous episode. I just don't know if they actually I don't know where it goes. Like this is one of the problem with Twitter and the streaming. Where does it go?
What Twitter? What are you talking about?
Well, the Twitter streaming, the Exeter streaming, the Exter streaming, the Xer.
When we stream to Twitch.
Yeah, when you
stream, we're streaming right now.
Yeah, I know. When you stream to X, you know, while the stream is live, people can see it. But then when it ends, it goes somewhere. And does it sink?
Is that true?
Does it sink into the swamps of sadness? Does it just disappear into the void? Like, where does it go? I still don't know.
I didn't know that happened. That's kind of strange.
Yeah. It's like, maybe there's like some kind of like chasm with all these.
Well, what you can try to do is grab the Twitter link and just put it somewhere, and then after the show's over, see if that link works.
You know, where does it go after the show is done? Does it go to like a electronic heaven? Who knows? All right. So before we continue, let me do the things. We are. Oh yeah, I was supposed to set up the. Okay, never mind. Well, I can't do that because I didn't set it up. I forgot. But usually you can support the show monthly at feedthebadger.com/support. I was going to set it up a little bit earlier because this is a request, and the individual who requested it, well, it's a thank you request for his pledge, but there's no fundraiser to pledge to. So, yeah. But anyway, if you're listening to this after the show,
he'll watch it.
Yeah, he'll watch. Oh no, yeah, he'll watch it. He'll watch it definitely, and I'll get that all sorted. But if you're listening to this later in like the week, next week, there should be an option at feedthebadger.com/support to support the show for the month. And also, if you want to send us a message, which is great because we love to hear from you, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And we get the full benefit of whatever funds you wish to dispense, and you get the full benefit of not sending your comment through the YouTube comment diffusion machine. I wanted to say something different. I don't even know if that works, but you know, like the YouTube comment entropy system, whatever you want to call it, the thing that they put comments through to determine whether or not they are good or bad, which no doubt will be a job for AI in the future. So it'll get even more weird. But anyway, if you want to avoid all that, if you prefer to talk to a human, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And then we will determine whether or not we want to read your comments out loud. Because sometimes, actually, no. Has there been any comment aside from someone sending War and Peace once where we were like, no, we're not reading this? I don't think so.
Nope.
No.
I've never not read a comment.
Yeah. Yeah, except the ones that were.
I mean, I guess if they send something super vulgar with the intention of getting us banned from YouTube.
You
I
know,
may have to like
beep.
infer whether or not
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are people who are like, you know, like I just want to sabotage your operation, funny.
While giving us,
And,
you know, giving us a lot of information, which generally people don't really want to do if they want to
Yeah.
sabotage something. You know, it's just it's a good bar of entry, shall we say. But anyway, you can send your messages to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. We appreciate whatever you send, and also we appreciate knowing that we're not yelling into the void, because sometimes it feels like that. Especially since, you know, you listen to someone who's obviously smart, obviously understands certain things, and then they just fail. Like, it's just like they get almost to the finish line. You know what? They're like inches from the finish line, and then they just, I don't know, stab their own thigh and fall backwards and scream. You know, because they just can't make that last little bit of a leap across the chasm, shall we say? Well, okay, I'm mixing my metaphors, but you get what I mean. I think you guys do. All right.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we were saying before the show, you want to like say that like about like, this guy, Professor Sam Vaknin, you know, he seems like a smart guy, but he seems to be like missing, you know, vital.
He's not going that last little bit that needs
he's not taking that last step, and
he's not.
I think it begs the question, why? Like,
Well, okay,
I mean,
okay. All right.
I don't know that it's ignorance. I don't know that it's ignorance. Not if you're really trying to be objective.
Cowardice. Okay, here's the thing.
Yes.
The last step on the last inferential step in this whole chain, which is, you know, recognizing that there's an issue with pair bonding, recognizing that that does not bode well for human society. In particular, it doesn't bode well for those societies that aren't engaging in pair bonding and family formation anymore. Because the societies that are, they're going to be the future. So if that's what you want, you can kiss your liberal, egalitarian, feminist democracy goodbye. Because it's just not going to go in the future. And that's such an irresponsible attitude to take. If you really value the values of secular democracy, of the weird cultures, as they call them, the Western egalitarian, whatever else, you value our cultural tradition, you value human rights as we understand them, you got to attend to the process of family formation, because otherwise there will be no one to carry those values forward into the future, and those cultures that don't have them will be the ones that win the future. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so irresponsible, and it really speaks to the fact that everybody who says they value, you know, the kind of liberal democracy principles, that they value human rights for minorities, they value women being able to have, you know, being able to self-actualize in the work world, even if that is ridiculous because work isn't about that, but they value all of these things. They don't seem to value them enough to ensure that they continue into the future. So how much do they really value them versus using them to just get their rocks off in the moment? That's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you are 100% like I am an extreme leftist, well, yeah, but you don't seem to care about the future. You know, you're not on the right side of history if you don't actually form families to carry that belief forward. You know, if you're
I mean,
you're just a dead end.
Self-defeating. It's a self-defeating ideology.
So even if you're the ultimate leftist,
do what thou wilt, including, you know,
you're basically just saying, I'm just here for myself, and that's it. Yeah. And you know, it's really funny because they talk about, you know, we need to take responsibility. No, you don't. You're just here for yourself. You're not even here for the minorities, because you're not going to do anything to preserve this cultural tradition into the future. You're the ultimate anti-traditionalist, including your own beliefs. You know, and it's not going to be a situation where everybody else in the world's just like, oh yeah, actually, you know what? Self-annihilation is where it's at. They're not going to. Like the cultures that aren't interested in our values aren't going to self-annihilate. Okay, they're going to be the ones that win. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that people are missing a little of the context, because we are talking kind of like reflecting on a stream we did yesterday on another channel.
Oh yeah,
So I
but
don't know if you
also
guys
this
saw
is
it.
he
Because they don't, because people are like, what, play the video. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right. Well, first of all, we're already 19 minutes in, and he's talking about replacement level birth rates, and he's talking about why and how to deal with it, but he still seems to be talking about it within the context of a feminist framework, which is, let's be honest, when you present men as being undesirable because they're horribly oppressive and everything else that's wrong with the world, you are impeding the process of family formation, because you are basically telling women that men are a bad choice. So I don't exactly well, maybe give a rundown on what he said prior to, like, in the 19 minutes, because you did the time codes.
This guy, well, we went through it last show, so like some of the main points was like, this idea that first he starts off by saying, misogyny is on the rise, but it's amongst women, and then he goes on to talk about how women are, more competitive with other women, and that they're valuing these kind of like masculine traits that are negative traits, like competitiveness, like dominance, etc., and talking about what the problems with that are. Let me see if I can. There was one point in particular that he brought up that I thought was really interesting, that women became masculinized, that there's a rise in female narcissism and psychopathy, and then he was going into the problem of male partners that are not. At first, he says it's not hypergamy, because hypergamy is a myth that like the red pill manosphere perpetuates. But then he goes on to say that women are not finding men of an appropriate, like level of education, because women are getting better educated than men. They're more educated, so they can't find a man. And of course, he makes a few mistakes. He equates education with intelligence. So he says women have more degrees, therefore they're smarter, therefore they can't find men that can engage them, upstairs, which is, it's not true. Women are not just because someone is educated doesn't mean that they are necessarily smarter. It just means that they're more indoctrinated, in my opinion, especially with what education is. And the other thing that he said was that, let me see if I can find, because it was something in particular. Oh yeah, women are more likely to have. So he's saying that women are on the one hand, pickier, but that they are also like, there are no issues with pair bonding because women are having more one-night stands. And there is a problem with that as well. This is a thing that I see a lot amongst people on the left that claim to care about this stuff. They will equate sex, casual sex, with relationships. These are not the same. They're not. I mean, some relationships many relationships become sexual, but things that are sexual don't necessarily mean relationships. So if a man is looking for a life partner, he wants to pair bond with one woman for life, and and all that, a woman that is interested in casual sex is probably like, they're not likely to run into each other, or if they do, then she will essentially ditch him at some point and go on to like have casual sex with other men, and that man will keep looking for the one. And we know that, I mean, that's like, he's not, firstly, he's not giving marriage its due. He's not giving family its due. He acknowledges that birth rates are lower. He acknowledges that families are, fewer families are forming, but he's not, and it's not about blame per se, but he seems to just put it on men for not essentially being like high status enough to attract women. And so it's still men's fault,
Yes, and
I think that's the short, counterfactual everything the manosphere says is counterfactual, nonsensical myths.
All right.
Women have elevated standards, so consequently they are unable to find a long-term partner. So there is no such thing as hypergamy, but women are not picking them because hypergamy. I mean, because they want high status men, which is not hypergamy. That's something different.
Okay, so let's just sum this up. Ultimately, the problem is that there's a lot of commentators who identify that there's an issue. There's an issue with pair bonding, but they absolutely refuse to entertain any kind of criticism about women, any kind of sense of responsibility for women for the situation, any at all. Period. So the real problem with hypergamy is it can be seen as critical to women. Women, we should recognize that they have every right to be hypergamous, but we can't use the term hypergamy in a critical way. So that's what they really mean when they do something like, the manosphere is wrong about hypergamy, because what's really happening is women are right to pick men that are better than they are, because they are the table and men need to bring something to the table. And you see what I'm saying? Because they cannot. Yeah,
they can't. Well, hypergamy suggests blame.
Yeah,
and so they can't. They
cannot condone any kind of criticism towards women. And here's the problem: women are at least half the problem. So if you cannot criticize, half of who is contributing to the problem, or then they become the biggest problem. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, women might, all things equal, women might just be half the problem, right? Just half. But the fact that we can't criticize them, we can't point out how they're contributing to the problem, makes them 99% of the problem.
Yeah.
They go from half to 99% because we can't talk about how they're contributing to the problem. And every single person who's having a discourse about the disaster the demographic collapse will be, because it will be a disaster. Not only will it be the end of Western secular democracies, because we're the ones who aren't breeding, and also Asian cultures. It'll be the end of a lot of our infrastructure and potentially the end an ecological catastrophe. Right? We need to be here to because the Earth is sort of a cyborg now, and we're maintaining the cyborg parts. So we need to be here. But they recognize that this is going to be a disaster, that something is not good is going to come of it, but they cannot condone any criticism of women at all. Even though right now, if men were suddenly able to earn as much as women want in order to pair bond, in order to become husbands, we'd need like 3 more Earths to actually be able to provide the material resources that additional spending power would give. So it's like, yeah, okay. You mean that Western pair bonding now requires the complete annihilation of the Earth to continue? Well, that seems to be like, we might want to criticize women about their excessive desires at that point, but no, we can't criticize women on this side. We can't criticize women. It's like absolutely taboo. Absolutely. And anybody who finds it taboo to simply say, yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to blame women. You know what? I'm going to blame women. Okay. Am I going to explode? Am I going to turn into a puff of smoke? Am I going to melt? No, I'm going to blame women, and there is nothing you can stop me. There's no way you can stop me. Right? And just stand by that and say, if there is something that women are to blame for, then we hold them accountable. But that there is most of the people who are even aware that there's a problem can't even get to the point of doing that. That's what makes us different, is what I've noticed over and over and over again. That is what makes us different. We are willing to hold women to account, even different from red pillars, so-called red pillars, because they don't hold women to account. They simply say, oh, it's female nature, because it's probably easier to simply say, well, women can't help it, than to process what women are doing and say, actually, they are making these moral choices. And apparently one of the moral choices that they're making is to hate the other half of the human race. That's really painful. It's easier just to say, oh, they just don't know what they're doing. They're not really aware, or they're incapable of making any other choice. It's easier to hide from that. Much harder to say, women need to take responsibility. Women need to take responsibility, or we are going to lose everything that we have built. All right? That's it. That is the bottom line. Yep. And most people can't say that. They cannot do it. Even men's rights activists have problems with it. much less red pillars, and certainly not feminists or liberal, whatever this guy is. All right, let's.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we're gonna listen to more of this guy, right?
Yes.
Oh.
And this is what's happening between women. And finally, women have subjected themselves to identity politics. There's competitive victimhood among women, performative victimhood, vulnerability signaling, kind of. Virtue signaling is a subspecies of vulnerability or victimhood signaling. And it's very competitive because women have become men. So they have brought male attributes, male qualities, male characteristics, including psychological traits. They brought all these into victimhood movements.
I think women invented the victimhood signaling. I mean, it was either men or women, so it might, like, there's no third option, right?
Well, yeah, I think this basically boils down to this is something women are doing, but men are still to blame. You notice that?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I know, it's like women are engaging in victimhood signaling, but this is because they're toxically masculine. I don't know if he uses that term. Maybe it's just because this is how women compete. You know, women do engage in their own forms of competition. Women's competition tends to be around resources. Men's competition tends to be around mating opportunities, but to a lesser degree with human men, because in a lot of cases, a cooperation between human men is like human men's peacock's tail, which is why we have such elaborate systems of cooperation that enable the entirety of our modern society. But anyway, it sounds like it. I mean, maybe we're gonna see him go from sort of struggling with just blaming women, and maybe he'll actually be able to just say, yeah, this is something that women are doing wrong, and it's not because they've incorporated masculinity, or because they're toxically masculine, or because the patriarchy has, I don't know, strings on their their brain parts or something. Well, okay, let's find out.
All right, I got a Super Chow. I'm going to read it really quick. Great Indoors gave us $10. I think he's the guy who sent the video, right?
Yeah,
Maybe,
he is.
I don't know.
So thank you, Great
Okay.
Indoors.
Thank you, Great Indoors. And he says, no, I warn you that if you do not tell me we are at war, if you again allow yourself to palliate all the infamies and atrocities of this Antichrist, I don't know you in future. You are no longer my friend, no longer my faithful slave, as you say. I see I'm scaring you. Sit down and talk to me. End quote. These words were uttered in July 1805 by Anna Pavlovna Shearer, a distinguished lady of the court and confidential maid of honor to the Empress Myra Fyodorova. It was her greeting to Prince Vasily, a man high in rank and office, who was the first to arrive at her soiree. An excerpt from War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. So he just gave us war. Thank you, Great Indoors. That was that joke. There was a long wind up, but you did deliver. The lead in was stretched. I was like waiting, like, where is this going? And now it's I see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got you in the end.
You asked for it. You asked for it. Okay.
Just got trolled with War and Peace. Okay, thank you, Great Indoors. Thank you for the request as well, and the support. Okay, keep going.
Now, victimhood movements have become the new corporate field. Victimhood movements are now money-spinning, money-making enterprises, and competitive victimhood is actually a competition for relative positioning in a society that makes sense of itself, imbues itself with meaning, not via God, not via dignity, not via reputation, not via true accomplishments, not via hard work, not via ethics, but via victimhood.
Yeah. How did we get here? Are you gonna ask yourself that? Like, you're saying that it's become a corporate branding tactic, and I would agree.
Brian, we got here because women became more like men. And
it's masculinity's fault.
Yeah.
Yes, because
Okay, well,
because
I mean,
before women became like men, men were the ones cashing in on victimhood politics. That's right.
no,
That's
no,
exactly what was going.
He's saying that it's women bringing the victimhood politics, but because it's combining with men's competitiveness, then it's becoming toxic.
Yeah, but women
But, you know,
were never competitive before they started, like the 90s,
or competitive over
whenever this
victimhood.
happened.
Okay, but
Yeah.
let's give him some props. At least, you know, he's recognizing women are at the heart of this. Let's keep going.
Okay. I got another Super Chow from Sir Biggles. Thank you, Sir Biggles. He gives us $50. Thank you so much.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And says, I appreciate the good work you guys do. Here's some money to keep the lights on. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate that you appreciate that. Okay, let's play some more.
Today, the greater victim you are, the more accomplished you are, and the higher your relative positioning in society. And women have plugged into this big time because women have been victimized, really. For example, like the blacks.
Oh, that's what it is. My historical oppression. You know, it's funny. I was gonna say something about that. It had occurred to me. We as a society today value victimhood. This is a problem, but it is a product, I believe, of a feminine
mindset,
a sort of a shadow feminine perspective, like the darkest parts of the feminine becoming the normal and being profitable and getting advantage. This is why there are men trying to claim their own piece of victimhood. This is why there are men transitioning, I think, in some part, because there is some gain to be had if you are the biggest victim.
I would say, okay, you recognize that women compete over victimhood. Have you considered that the narrative that women are victimized by the past is also basically another expression of that, of women competing over victimhood and presenting themselves as victims in order to gain control over the discourse and gain control over resources. I mean, can we not, like, here's the thing. The assumption that women are oppressed by men or society is just that, an assumption. It has never been scientifically proven because it never has been presented as something subject to science. It's always been basically an unfalsifiable belief. So unfalsifiable beliefs are optional. So he is choosing right now, and people need to realize this, he's choosing to exist in a world where women are the ultimate victims. He's choosing to exist in a world where that constrains the relationship between men and women. People are choosing to exist in that world. It is a choice. It's optional. You don't have to. You can exit that world at any time. And all you have to do is apply the standards of science, the scientific method. You'd say, okay, well, first of all, how do you falsify this idea that men being in charge equals women oppressed? Okay, well, the way you falsify it is you look at the situation for men when men are in charge, men as a whole, and you look at the situation for women when men are in charge. And if the situation for men is worse, then obviously it's not oppressive. Because if men are choosing to give other men the worst, the most dangerous, the most difficult, and hold them to the expectation of providing the most security and safety for women possible, if that's what men are holding other men to, then that is not the exercise of unjust or cruel authority, is it? And yet, where do you see, and this is the very basic, the very first step to having a scientific idea about reality is to frame it as falsifiable. Very first step. Where do you see this in any of the discourse around men oppressing women? Nowhere. because they've never done it. It is not in the realm of science. It is firmly in the realm of unfalsifiable belief, and all unfalsifiable beliefs are optional. He is choosing to screw himself over, and we are all choosing to screw ourselves over because of this. And
Yep.
you gotta choose. You gotta not choose it. As hard as it is, you gotta not choose it.
Yep.
You gotta take that last step. You see where we're going to? Remember, we're talking about the last step. We gotta take the last step. And of course, Karen is super frustrated with this individual because he seems like he's smart enough. He's getting all the steps up to the last step. And then at the last step, he's stabbing himself in the foot and saying, "Who did this to me?" And falling over. I can't go any further because he's choosing. He's choosing to fail.
There's only two reasons for this lack of a last step. Either he doesn't know, which would make him lazy or stupid. He does know, but he doesn't have the courage to say it, or he does know and he wants to maintain this illusion, which is which is killing.
Yeah. That he's a good man. You know, good men do not question the idea that women are defined by men harming them. Well, but the last step, you know, the last step is the step in the. You remember Indiana Jones and the Search for the Holy Grail?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
He has to step into the chasm.
Yeah, he has to walk on the invisible floor or whatever.
On the invisible floor.
He has to take the leap of faith.
He has to take the leap of faith. That's the last step. That's the last step, and most people can't do it because it requires courage. And that is one hell of a rare thing. Okay.
It is. Okay, let's play.
In the United States, like African Americans, and like the Jews. So these groups, these cohorts, these populations who have been actually victimized throughout the ages to this or that.
You know how he has to say women have been victimized like the Jews and women have been victimized by like the blacks? Do you know why he has to do that? Because it's ridiculous to say that the Jews have been victimized like women and the blacks have been victimized like women.
Yes.
Yeah, how? Okay, so
he has to do it the other way.
Show me the society that holocausted women. Show me the society that enslaved only women.
Yeah, really.
Like really, no. No.
But Allison,
women were still viewed as chattel.
That's bullshit. Okay, no. And again, this is a choice. You believe this. This is your choice to believe this crap. You choose to believe it, and then you enjoy the social decay that results. But but he's doing that, and it's like this intersectional thing. Like I said, that intersectionality essentially is the process of refining the victimhood of groups away from the males in those groups towards the females, and then towards all women in general. In particular, the women on top who can best make use of victimhood in order to extort resources. So the intersectional pipeline is basically the refinement of the victimhood social resource to the women who have, or basically are elite. The ones who are able to use that victimhood resource to get themselves mansions, shall we say, get themselves cushy jobs in NGOs, and positions in government and academic careers. So the victimhood goes from the most victimized. So you for example, you go from a situation where a black man gets shot, and somehow through the intersectional pipeline, we go from the black man getting shot to a white woman needing a job in a academic capacity in some university. But that's and that because and the exact method is this is a horrible oppression of black people, but black women always have it worse because they're women. Therefore, the white woman deserves special consideration. Do you see how that works?
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing here. He is appending the oppression of legitimately oppressed groups. Now we can discuss what we should do about that historical oppression if it is even functional to continue to perpetuate the necessity of arranging our society around it. That's irrelevant. What he's doing is he's taking that oppression, that historical oppression that's legitimate, and he's appending it to women, so that they and this is very satisfying for men, because they want to feel like they are protecting women. They want to see women's vulnerability. So seeing Jews as vulnerable to a guy like this is probably psychically gross. Seeing blacks as vulnerable, because it includes Jewish men and black men, and he doesn't like that. He's not interested in that. So what he does is he takes that vulnerability, applies it where it should be, where it's most satisfying, man, just makes you feel good, and that is women. I'm just saying. And I was noticing this last night as well. Me and Brian went on a show with some very interesting people. I would say that they were very
Wick TV. Yeah.
They were very left, like very left. And I was listening to them.
I think they were standard left. But go ahead.
Okay, well,
I've seen a lot of content on the internet. And
Okay, well,
they
was
they
this
weren't really that bizarre. Like they were
Okay.
pretty standard. But go
well,
on.
what was interesting is like me and Brian, we were listening, trying to figure out something beneficial to say, I think, and absorbing what was going on. And I was observing the people around me. And at some point I was thinking, because there was these two leftist individuals, and I don't mean to like dehumanize them or anything, but they certainly were playing out a particular role, both men. And I was thinking, okay, so are you here to discuss stuff, or are you here to identify enemies? Like, because it seems like concepts to you are gang colors, or army banners, or uniforms. So you're taking these concepts and you're saying, oh, well, this is the enemy based on them, right? And so how do you have a discussion with somebody who does that? And I was thinking to myself also, wow, that is so male. No offense. I don't mean that. I mean the whole process of identifying the in-group and the out-group, and then wanting to go immediately to establishing the territorial defense, getting rid of the enemy. That is a male instinct. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's male. Like this really powerful desire to identify who shouldn't be there and get rid of them. Get what I'm saying? It's behind like altruistic punishment, getting rid of criminals, getting rid military. It's that kind of impulse. And I'm like, you guys, you both are raw dogging that impulse. Like you have no conscious awareness that what you're doing right now is simply identifying enemies and trying to destroy them. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't this is the thing, what I have observed, and that's why I wrote down everything they said that I thought was relevant. I told them at the end, this is what you think about the people that you claim to oppose. It tells me they don't know any other position. They only know what they're supposed to know. You know, that they are the good people that believe the good things and agree with the good stuff, and that's what leftism is. Right? It's the good things. And that's it. And anyone who even like deviates from that a little bit is the bad thing. And that's the other team, whatever it is. That's why they believe, they fundamentally believe that people who are religious they think that mental health issue is demonic possession. Like that's what they legitimately believe that. Like people who are religious, and only Christians, by the way, because they don't say this about Muslims or Jews. So Christians are like medieval, like dark age people to this day. And what it speaks to is what they don't know.
Like that in those times either.
No, of course it wasn't like that. I'm just saying, like they're fed a line. Like they're obviously products of the education system, and
but they're turning. They're turning they're turning concepts into gang colors in group and out group. That's what I was trying to explain. Is that they don't know what anybody outside of what they believe believes.
Exactly, yeah. That's why they
Because
characterize
it's not
them
about that.
in this cartoonish way.
That you're not about understanding them. You're about characterizing them as the out group, and that's it. It's where discourse goes to die. And I was really tempted to say, okay, well, I don't really consider myself on the right, but I'll play your enemy today. Now what? Like, okay, you've identified me as the enemy. Now what? Are you going to socially ostracize me? Probably. Are you going to shoot me in the head? Are you going to gather people like me up in camps and put us in ovens? Like, what's your ultimate goal with this process of defying discourse or turning it into a means to identify enemies? Because that's what they're doing. They're turning concepts into ways of identifying enemies. Like fucking Cro-Magnon with freaking clubs going, urban, city, technology, kill. Like, it's this most primitive attitude. But what goes next? What happens next? You've identified me as the enemy. What's your next move? Right? And this is it. This is where thought goes to die. And that, as far as I can tell, that is the exact opposite of the very virtues that they claim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
Well, on the plus side, we can all understand that they don't own any of those virtues. Those things are not owned by a camp. They are just expressed by people. Yep. If we understand that, then this is not going to be a big deal. We just have to remind them that they also don't own those traits. So anyway, let's play this more of the video.
They find it easier to express themselves via victimhood. But this, of course, creates a lot of internal friction because victimhood is competitive. So women resent each other because of this competition. Women become each other's enemies because they vie and they compete for scarce resources.
Okay.
What do you mean by scarce resources? How aren't we in the most resource abundant like time in all of human history right now? Like you can leave your house, go down the street to a store and get your choice of whatever food you want. It's just sitting there on the shelf.
Like, well, what do you mean? The scarce resource, I guess, is attention. I think.
I think what it is actually is, the care from a worthy man, like that, like it's not like there aren't men around. Like, look, there was a chick with two heads that married a guy, and he was like a military vet. So don't give me like that there is not a man for a woman out there. That's just like a woman with two heads got a man. So it doesn't matter what you look like, you'll be fine. So it's not that there aren't men available. It's that there aren't enough men that meet women's standards available, and they're fighting each other over those men because it's not resources. We can get that. It's not food, it's not shelter, you know? It's men of a certain quality. It could be attention, but attention I don't think is a goal in and of itself. I think there's the care and affection and commitment that is like the real goal, you know? I mean, that's what I think.
No, I got you. But anyway, it's like a psychological goal rather than like a physical or a material goal. And I think that this is not something that started now. Like right now, the resource that women are competing over is victimhood. But the idea that women are doing this because masculinity is bullshit.
Yeah.
Female great apes compete over resources. They compete over territory that have resources in them. And their competition over territory can be pretty brutal. This is not something that happened, I don't know, a couple generations ago, that women were like, oh, look at all this victimhood. It's a resource. And then they were like, and now we can be masculine and start clawing each other over this resource. Oh my God, what an innovation. It's like, are you kidding? What? There were epic cat fights throughout all of human history. You know, just epic. that actually changed human history, right? There have always been competition between women over resources, right? This is not new. It's just new that victimhood has become such a huge resource.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep going because I want to.
All right.
I don't want to take this. I don't want. I want that. Don't want to go more than a day with this.
Okay.
Entitlement, rights, reparations, money, and so on. Internal competition among women in victimhood movements is a major driver of female misogyny. Okay, this is women. What about men? How are men reacting?
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, wait a second. This is a big driver of female misogyny? You know, women competing with each other over resources is okay. Let me just ask: is men competing over women misandry?
I would say no.
Yeah, like
I think it's just competition. Like
competition. Like it's just a neutral. Why does everything in this guy's mentality, everything bad, have to have a dick attached to it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's bad, or actually no. In this case, everything bad has to have woman hatred attached to it. It's pathological. Okay, I'm done. Let's go.
All right, let's play some more.
Oh, before we continue, I just want to tell you, I did send you the article he discusses.
I got it.
I'm not so sure it's going to be a valuable use of our time to listen to him talk about the article. Maybe we should just talk about the article, but
You want me to just go to the article?
you know, let's keep going and see what he does, because I think I could just give you a summary of the article.
All right.
To all this, there's a new study from the University of British Columbia, and it came up with a few fascinating insights. They found out that men, contemporary men, postmodern men, can be classified into, broadly speaking, into 3 distinct categories of masculinity. And each category is reactive to female behavior and to modern vagaries and exigencies of life. So the first type of men...
I'm just pausing for the banana there.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm not
what's the
sure
first
we're going to
type
get
of
hit
man?
with a copyright here, but let's...
You don't?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
is the neo-traditionalist man. It's the guardian of tradition.
Okay, neo-traditionalist sounds like an oxymoron, just gonna say. It means new old.
Okay, I'm gonna blow this all out of the water. There's only one group of men who judge themselves based on benefit to women. The only difference between them is what they consider to be benefit to women. Okay, the neo-traditionalist man feels like the greatest benefit to women is through providing and protecting women. The progressive man, the egalitarian man feels like an egalitarian structure to the relationship benefits women most. And the progressive man feels like, I think that he also wants to benefit trans women, so he includes them in his umbrella of protection. Okay, that's it. But every single group of men is defined and by how they want to benefit women. Right? That's it. And I don't even think that anybody who's discussing this, including this man, is ready to have that conversation. Like that why is it that men are only considered in terms of women's benefit? Right? Why aren't we ever discussing how women define themselves in terms of men's benefit? I don't think there's ever been any kind of study. Wouldn't it be astounding? Like, I'm going to study how women define themselves in relation to benefiting men. But this is this study. How do men define themselves in relation to benefiting women? And the great irony is that they call out traditional men for being bad for whatever reason. And the only reason why they're bad is not because they also want to benefit women, but because the way that they want to benefit women is ideologically opposed to the other men who want to benefit women in different ways. Good Lord, can we just grow up as a species? Can we just move past this freaking mental trap and like start thinking about things like a species that can actually start to get off its planet? Start thinking about ourselves in more realistic, intelligent, and pragmatic ways instead of constantly doing this childish bullshit. Okay, let's become serious people. All right. It's not gonna
Play
happen.
some more.
Sure, yeah.
It's an archetype. This kind of man perceives himself as a provider, a protector in relationships. And this is anchored in traditional gender roles. These individuals find fulfillment in playing the role of guardian, savior, healer, rescuer, fixer, nurturing relationships through the lens of time-honored scripts and norms and behavioral
Okay, stop right there. The entire study is structured in terms of seeing men as benefiting women and how they want to benefit women. So if that is traditionalism, every single man in that study is a traditionalist. It's just that woman A wants her man to protect her with a gun and get her a yellow dress. Woman B wants her man to protect her with a saber and get her a floral print dress. And woman C wants her man to protect her with, a medieval axe and get her a brown dress. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're all the same. They're all identical. And the very structure of the study enforces that. Because the study is, well, how do men define themselves in terms of how they arrange themselves in terms of women's benefit? We're just going to assume that men should be arranged in terms of women's benefit. That this should be how we categorize men.
Right, like that's where this whole thing begins.
Yeah, that's where men and women, that's where men begin and end with women's benefit. That's the only real categorization pattern we can have for men, right? Okay, whether they benefit women, and how they benefit women. And this guy can't even see past that. He doesn't even see the box that he's in. To use Michael, what's his face? Kimmel's, is it Kimmel? Michael.
He's Michael Kimmel, the male feminist guy. Yeah, that's
but he was like discredited, so I don't know where he is now. But Michael Flood has yet to be discredited, so he still has his ideas out there. The man box. This is the box. This is the real box that men do not get out of, and he is continuing to perpetuate it. Okay.
All right, I got a Super Chow from Richard Bier for $5, and he says, hold on. Allison, they don't hate men. They only name everything bad after men. They don't hate men. They just named everything bad after them. That was from
classic Karen.
Classic Karen, yeah. All right, let's play some more.
Prescriptions. The problem is this. Many misogynistic men, especially covert narcissists, fit into this neo-traditionalist role.
Really, how?
Covert narcissists regard women as inferior, and actually many other misogynistic men, not only covert narcissists.
Yeah, but why would you serve someone who's inferior? I'm pretty sure narcissists do not look at their identities in terms of serving others. And also, why is it that only traditionalist men have covert narcissism? Because even egalitarian men are in position of providing something to, you can't get away from this, dude. If men are in a position to provide things for women, either egalitarianism, like I guess some sort of equal self-actualization, I don't know, but something. If men are in position to provide something for women, women are by definition inferior. Okay? If men need to bring something to the table and women are the table, the thing that men bring to the table is going to make them superior in some way to women. like it's just like so frustrating. Like, I get what Karen. I'm actually starting to feel Karen's frustration. It's so frustrating to watch someone. It's like watching a caveman who knows astrophysics and is using it to explain how you get berries from a bush or something really freaking simple and stupid and basic. He's using it to explain how the Great Spirit constructed rocks. Right? It's like you have these ideas and you have these observations that are higher level, and then you immediately drop into the grunting idiot stage.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So here's some more grunting idiocy. Let's go.
I don't know. I'm on people.
They regard women as inferior. They hold them in contempt. They're contemptuous towards women. But they're contemptuous.
How can you see women as the victims of all of history without holding them in contempt? I mean, you don't call it contempt, but you fail to see how women have power over anything, how femininity can have any power whatsoever. It's always in response to men. It's always subordinate to men. The only way that women get out of it is becoming masculine, right? How is that not absolute profound contempt towards women and femininity? Can you tell me that?
I don't know. I mean, I think I don't want to get too
Let's just keep going.
conspiratorial. I mean, I guess we'll see what he says about the other two groups.
That's not conspiratorial, though, is it?
No. I'm not saying that what you're saying is conspiratorial. I want to know what he's going to say about the other two groups, but I feel like traditionalists. Okay. Here's what I'm wondering. So they've divided men into 3 types. But you're right, there's only one type of man. There's just one type of masculinity that is measured, which is the ways that it benefits women. And when you're splitting into 3 subtypes, but ultimately you are still talking about one type, right? Egalitarian, progressive, and neo-traditionalist. And now I don't know how the egalitarian and the progressive is different. I know how they are different against the what he's calling the neo-traditionalists, which I think, again, I don't like these words. I know these people play word games all the time, and you have to like wrestle with definitions. Neo-traditionalist sounds like when you look at it, it sounds like it's a reinvention of an old way of doing things, but it's still just from what I can tell, like there's just, like I don't even like traditionalists by itself. I just think there's like normal men. Like there's just normal men, like they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're just trying to figure out what is it that women want so they can give it to them. That's all it is. It's literally the Notebook. What do you want? Right? That's what most men do. I don't think I'm not saying that's a plus or a minus. But and they're all trying to provide for women. They just have different approaches. But what I'm wondering about is which of those 3, if we're going to look at it from this perspective, if we accept this guy's acceptance of the framing of this study, which of the 3 is the most likely to result in a marriage and family? Because I have a feeling that egalitarian men might run into problems, because one thing that's left out of this is what women actually want. Like there's essentially what he's saying is that men are all trying to give women what they want, and then there are 3 different types of men, and they're all trying to figure out which way is the way that's going to work, and they're trying these out, right? So I think egalitarian men, I don't know if he's going to say this, I haven't watched this far yet, are going to be like, well, I treat my wife like an equal, right? And we're going to share everything. I mean, that's what I assume. Progressive men are probably going to be like, oh, if she makes more money than me, that's okay, I guess, right? Maybe it includes trans women, but that's kind of like, that's already a non-starter when it comes to family.
Okay.
So
Yeah, let's watch what he has to say.
all right,
Well, it's not really what he
Specific
has to
way.
say. It's what the study has to say.
his
take on
opinion
the
on what
study.
the study has to say.
That allows them to feel good with themselves, to feel comfortable with their own racist, if you wish, convictions.
So okay, traditionalist men bad.
Well, that's that really escalated.
They're
quickly.
sexist and racist, misogynistic, old-fashioned,
narcissistic.
retrograde. Yeah,
And narcissistic.
and narcissistic. Yes.
They say, I regard women as inferior. I hold them in
Yeah,
contempt.
so do you, dude.
Not
so do
because
you.
something's wrong with them, not because they're evil, not because they're, but simply because they are childlike. They're undeveloped. They're primitive. They are not like men. Men are evolved. Men are developed. Men are mature. Men are adults. Men are responsible for 99% of human progress.
At least
I'm just
a
positive
lot
about
of it since the Industrial Revolution. I'm really sorry, sir. That is the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we
But are
hold
we
women
just
accountable-
scapegoating women
we-
so that we can usher in transhumanism and The Handmaid's Tale, Allison? Are we just scapegoating women?
Okay. I will say that maybe women could be responsible for human progress if women were held responsible. But until they are, they're not. Okay?
Yeah.
You see how that works? Now, this guy treats women with contempt because he regards femininity and being a woman to be some kind of handicap throughout all of human history. Even though women had control over over the process of raising children in every culture I've studied, they are the primary socialization. And get this, most of our decisions are made based on emotional habits laid down in childhood. So women basically imprint the motherboard, which is probably why it's called a motherboard. And yet they have absolutely no control over the computer. Bullshit. And to believe that requires believing that women are inferior, that women have no ability to project their interests if they are feminine, no ability to have any control over men if they are feminine. Femininity is the lesser form of gender expression in his estimation. When you say that women are victims of history, that's what you're saying about femininity and women, that they are the lesser gender and they are the lesser form of gender expression. And that is contempt. You're not calling it contempt, just like he says, well, women want men that are better than them, but that's not hypergamy. They play these name games. You treat women with contempt. Dude, you do. And you are completely unaware of it. Okay.
All right. I got a super chow from Richard Pierre again. He gives $5 and said, Allison, are you feeling an overwhelming urge to seek out and talk to a manager? Yeah. All right,
I'd
here
like
we
to
go.
speak to the manager
Women
of the human race.
Are childlike. They're infantile. They're incapable of taking care of themselves. They're incapable of defending themselves. So I need to protect them.
Yes, that's what you
It's a
believe.
bizarre combination of misogyny, perhaps the most egregious, virulent form of misogyny.
This guy's an ideologue. He's not a professor.
Yeah, but he's like,
These are ideological things he's saying.
if you
Like, there's-
believe that women have no
there-
power in patriarchy, what is your role as a man but to protect them?
he doesn't have
Self-awareness.
he doesnn't have an interest in the truth. He has an interest in spreading.
He has an
this
interest in feeling
sermon.
good about himself. That's it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, you can't call yourself a professor and you're just doing this. What you're doing, you're spreading your religion. Like, this is the feminist Sermon on the Mount. It's, women are victims, men are narcissists and abusers, but only the traditional men. This is why, like, I have a feeling that progressive and or egalitarian men are either going to be just as bad or they're going to be much better even though they're probably less likely to result in family and children. And I
Okay.
think he's just attacking what he's calling neo-traditionalist men because it sounds like neocon, and that makes him feel good in his nethers.
Let's keep going. I was gonna say something, but you know what? We got a lot of ground to cover, and I am not doing this again.
Okay.
which involves also contempt, loathing, coupled with
Loathing.
a compulsive, aggressive need to protect women, to defend them, to rescue them, to save them.
From
So
patriarchy.
You hate them and you want to
enemies
save them.
who are predators. Or
Mario hates Peach.
From patriarchies. Like
Perpetrators.
he's talking about himself. You have an obsessive need to protect women from other men. You know, you are doing that right now. You are doing the thing that you are saying that these traditionalist men are doing. You are protecting the vulnerable, incapable, childlike, non-functional women from the horrible traditionalist patriarchs right now. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. God, oh man, urge
danger,
to,
or whatever.
urge
So
to
the
kill rising.
neo-traditionalist man nowadays is highly narcissistic, misogynistic, contemptuous.
Yeah,
and
those
at the
men
same
over there,
time,
they're so bad. They
very
should stay away from the
protective of
women.
them.
We need to protect the women from those men.
And
They're horrible.
Very invested, cathected, emotionally invested in the traditional role of men. He's the provider and he's the defender of the woman's physical and mental safety.
So, are there not women that want this? If most women said they wanted this, what would you say to that? Say that
Well, they
were
don't
wrong?
want his provision and protection. Like Brian, he doesn't like women, or he apparently considers women to have internalized misogyny. So he says that women have metaphorical penises if they don't like his way of protecting and providing for him. But other men are narcissists.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not in the study. The study just identified the neo-traditionalist type of men, one of three. I'm adding to it my insights. Now, the second type is the
Oh my God, my
egalitarian.
insights! But other
Yeah,
men
my
are narcissists.
insights. Those men suck.
Those men suck.
They shouldn't be able to breed.
they're
We have to
narcissists.
stop them.
Because they're narcissists. God damn. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, good Lord.
Type of men. So you remember, this is a study in British Columbia. They identified three types of men, postmodern men, neo-traditionalist, and now egalitarian. It's when the man perceives his partner to be his equal. There's a perfect balance between them. Equality, reciprocity, egalitarianism. A relationship built on shared responsibilities and mutual understanding. Always negotiated, always consensus building. These men view their partners truly as equals and believe that relationships should be based on give and take, even as they navigate the intricacies of modern partnerships and life and so on and so forth.
All right, I'm just pausing for the banana. Sounds like most men today. So
This is a very
So
healthy
far.
approach. The last type of men is the progressive men. And progressives are focused on gender equity. It's a kind of masculinity which champions gender equity and open communication. These men engage in discussions with their partners. They try to collaboratively, in a cooperative way, define roles and responsibilities. They forge a dynamic that transcends societal norms and fosters a sense of empowerment in both parties.
The personal is political. The relationship becomes the grounds of ideological, the battleground of the ideology. Oh, good Lord, that sounds like exhausting.
that
Okay.
sounds like a nightmare, dude. I'm sorry, but that being a progressive man sounds like it's a 24-hour a day job. Like you have to constantly be like, Or do you feel empowered, baby? No,
Well,
I'm sorry. No.
in
Like
many regards,
it's so weird and artificial too. Like that wouldn't. Do women want that?
well,
Like, do women want that? I don't know.
Well, let's frame it. Like, we're talking about a man who considers his relationship with a woman to be a part of his political identity. So you're talking about narcissism. Is that not narcissistic? Like,
Yeah.
how you treat this woman is a reflection of your the level of your political consciousness. It's not just two people negotiating a life together. You are becoming a hero in your own mind based on how you treat this woman. Like, and the other thing is that how is the progressive that much different than the traditionalist, except that they're just providing different things?
Or the egalitarian.
The progressive still frames the situation in terms of the woman being weaker and more vulnerable than himself. All right. I mean, the egalitarian probably does that less, but there's still that idea that it's the woman's needs that are centered. All right. So how is, again, all of this exists within this framework that men should be judged and divided based on how they benefit women. But really, all three are not that much different from each other. And they're all being judged by how they provide for women.
But
Like,
also,
women
like the way that these things are described, like one man could probably like move from one state to another state, right? At any point, like even throughout the day, you can go from traditional to progressive and back. Like I don't think that these categories are very helpful unless you're just trying to single out and demonize a certain pattern of behavior.
You're just identifying enemies.
Yeah.
And again, that is a male instinct. The whole idea that he is protecting women against those awful men over there, the thing that he just called out traditionalists for doing, he's doing right here. You know, identifying enemies and keeping them away from your women. Congratulations, ugh. Yeah, you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing. Okay.
Yep.
Now, what's the distribution? About 1/4 of men identified as neo-traditionalists, which sits well with what I've said, by the way, because personality disorders is about 15 to 20% of men.
Yeah,
So neo-traditionalist men they have like most of them have a personality disorder. Yeah, this isn't really about attacking like, you know, regular people forming regular monogamous marriages, with regular family. No. Obviously, traditionalist men, you can call it neo-traditional if you want to. I don't even want to use the word traditional. Normal men that want to marry women in a monogamous fashion, take on the fucking, what is it, the marriage rite, say the vows, and carry their girl into the threshold and have children with them. 20% of those guys are obviously like dangerously insane.
No. Yeah. Well, the traditionalists all have personality or like a narcissism, and presumably antisocial.
Yeah, and they have like a low opinion of women.
And the only thing that really defines traditionalists is that they believe that they should provide for and protect women. Of course, that also defines the egalitarian and the progressive.
And you know, it doesn't mean that those men don't expect something from those women, though. Like, I think that they're still, because he's saying the egalitarian man wants to like have like a fair division of effort and labor in the relationship, right? Well, I think traditionalist men do too. They just have different expectations. Even if we're even going to use that framework, which isn't like,
and a progressive
I don't think that it's
wants a woman to be the empty vessel upon which he writes his own heroic tale of how he triumphed over patriarchy. So I mean, like, everybody wants something from their partner. But again, they're still all defined, and they're all defined in exactly the same way. The only group that seems to sort of get away from it is the egalitarian. Like, but let's just let's continue here. Like we're making good progress.
About 20% of men have personality disorders. Now,
No.
the neo-traditionalist men, even though they have defined themselves in conservative terms, protected, provider, this and that, they still knew that they have to pay lip service to third and fourth wave feminism. So they distance themselves from the traditionalist perception of men as superior and women as inferior.
So he's saying that they're neo-traditionalists because they pretend to be feminists, but they're secretly patriarchs and psychos, apparently.
It's not the case.
Yeah, I'm going to say something here. Personal experience, but it was pretty impactful. The only antisocial narcissist that I know of in all of my travels in these ranks, and I have known traditionalist men, and I've known egalitarian men and progressive men. The only one that I would say was a real frickin' psycho was a feminist. Do you remember? You know who I'm talking about, right, Brian? Never, I will never.
Yeah, Russian Deadpool.
Never forget this man.
Yeah.
He literally believed that he owned the women in his life. And he saw them, I'm not kidding, he saw them, as far as I can tell, he saw them as empty vessels upon which he wrote his own heroic progressive narrative. And then when one of those empty vessels said, I don't feel like getting married to you, he killed her. So shut up. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're just identifying enemies. You're just indulging that male instinct, completely unself-conscious, like unself-aware, to identify male enemies and protect your females, your fragile females. You need to protect the females from them. That's it. Then this guy is doing everything he blames other men for, with no self-awareness. None.
Yep.
Okay, let's continue. We're getting there.
It's just that we are better suited to provide and to protect than women. It doesn't make us superior. It's just a different distribution of skills and capacities. Now about half identified themselves as the egalitarian types, and about 1/4 as progressive. So it's an interesting distribution. 1/4 are neoconservative, neo-traditionalists when it comes to male roles.
He's repeating himself.
1/4 are progressives when it comes to male roles, actually denying that there is such a thing as a male gender role. The progressives don't see any difference whatsoever, not even by.
I'd like to know, what I'd like to know is, there's a study, maybe they can do a longitudinal study where they get these results from men when they're younger, then they follow up with them in 20 years and they find out where they are in life. I want to know, how far does being a progressive, egalitarian, or trad man gets you? Because I think that is probably the real test. It could be the case that egalitarian men do the best. I don't know. But if we're not looking at what women want, now there's what women say they want, and then there's what women actually want. Now, those are not the same thing. That's why I say we follow up, because if you just ask women, then most of them will say whatever they think is going to be the most popular choice or the thing that will benefit them the most. And they won't think about whether or not that's actually what they want, because they always change their mind about shit. Fight me if you don't believe that. That's just the truth. So the best thing to do is to follow up with men in 20 years, see where they're at. Are they married? Do they have children? How many children do they have? What is life like? Are they happy? Whatever. How's their situation? That would be a better way to look at this whole thing than just, for one, this video is supposed to be about women who hate women and the men who love them, which apparently like 25% of men don't love women at all. so that sucks. And women hating women, well, that's because they're becoming like men. So that's kind of where he's landing on all this stuff.
Yeah,
But-
man, bad.
Yeah, man bad. Yeah, especially if they're orange. But
You know,
I mean, like,
if they keep going after Trump for being orange, they may end up inadvertently creating, victimhood for the orange people, the Oompa Loompas.
no, there are no, but there are no other orange people. He's the only one. Unless like one of his kids like becomes orange as they get older. Like maybe Barron Trump will turn orange as he gets older. I don't know. But...
Yeah, I'm just saying you gotta be careful with that, because the more you persecute a group of people or a recognizable trait, the more likely it is to become itself a source of victimhood cachet, which then I mean, when is it? How much subjugation does a group have to be in the context of correcting the intersectional or balancing the intersectional scales before they themselves become a victim group? Just wondering. Okay, let's
All right, let's want to go more.
This is getting really tiresome. Does he like?
I don't know. I haven't. I only like you and I split this video in half. This is your half.
I know. I
So,
didn't.
Yeah.
I know that
I know.
they're. I think he just repeats himself for like 10 minutes.
Well, let me just get the summary of the other two types of men, and then we can stop it.
Okay.
Biological difference between men and women. Different genitalia mean nothing to them. They don't predispose the owner of the genitalia to any specific trajectory in life, traits, behaviors, and so on and so forth. There's no correlation between specific genitalia and anything else as far as they're concerned.
Let me look at the this is so like okay, conclusion. Maybe we can just get to the conclusion. He has a conclusion. So let's look at that. About that. This is at about 35 minutes in, so I'm gonna jump ahead. This is called Shifting Gender Roles and Mental Health. So again, we're gonna be looking at like essentially that men have to be the solution. I'm guessing they have to shift gender because like, okay, I don't, well, you know what, I'm gonna see what he says, but my guess is it's not gonna be let's do a study on women and find out what they want, which I don't know that you can really rely on much. It's gonna be, well, here's what men have to do.
Outed space and point a way forward. Okay. By the way, there's an online photo exhibition. It's titled Men Building Intimate Partner Relationships. It's 120 photographs from which kind of depict these three types of masculine. And Dr. Nagao says, one of the participants in the study says, there are photos depicting neo-traditional, egalitarian or progressive masculinity, and visitors are invited to take a quiz to decide which images fit with each masculinity. We are not only highlighting our research outcomes, we are also inviting input from visitors about how they see themselves and how they...
Do you want to look at those pictures? Allison? Are you there?
Sorry, I was actually trying to find them. So, yeah, sure, we could take a look at them.
I don't know where they are. If you can find them,
I will find them. And if he says anything of interest, just stop and be like, okay, we'll talk about that.
All right. Do you know what you want me to go back to find out what it's called?
I think I got Men Building Intimate Relationships.
Okay.
It's okay, so they have a 3D gallery. Why don't they just have the videos or the pictures? I'll find it. But keep going.
All right, I'll keep going.
build gender equity in their intimate partner relationships. Okay, the article is titled Neo-Traditionalist, Egalitarian and Progressive Masculinities in men's heterosexual intimate partner relationships. And as I said, the lead author is John Oliffe, Oliffe. I will provide you with a citation in the literature section in the description to this video. But I would like to come to the conclusion of my lecture by reading to you extensive excerpts from the excellent introduction to this article.
Well, I could. Well, he's gonna read from the introduction. I could just read the introduction. So let's take a look. Let me take a look at this. I mean, what's the point if he's just gonna read excerpts from it? Or I could just play them. I don't know.
No,
What
just
would you
read
guys?
it yourself. Read it yourself,
All right.
and we can just skip over this section because I think he just reads at this point.
All right,
Um,
all right.
Oh,
So
well,
I'll
we
read.
skipped forward about 7 minutes because
I did because that was like he was just like repeating himself, and I looked at
Yeah,
the
we're tired of it,
transcript and
yeah.
I saw that he gets to the conclusion, you know, because otherwise he just kind of repeats himself.
did he actually say anything in this conclusion? Because I didn't hear a damn
No,
thing
he's about to do the conclusion.
of the.
But what
of
I'm
his
saying,
doing no wait, did he actually come to a statement that's worth talking about?
no.
No.
Well, I mean, he like
Basically,
I said.
all he did for this entire time was.
Well, he has a
doesn't
okay.
like those men.
The conclusion is he said to conclude he was going to read the introduction to the study, excerpts from the introduction that he thought were excellent. So he is using the study as his conclusion. So I'm saying, why don't I just read the study then? Read the introduction part. Because that's the
Okay.
part that he says is his conclusion. You see?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, that's weird.
So, well, that just means he's not really thinking for himself. Introduction. Shifts in gender roles, identities, and relations since the 1980s are continuing to influence the organization and practices of masculinities within and between societies worldwide. While women's freer entry into the workforce and access to birth control continue to be hard-fought human rights, you can kind of see that there's a bias in this right off the bat. Changes to boys' and men's lives indicate both emergent challenges and opportunities. And they are quoting Kimmel in this, like Michael Kimmel, 2008. For example, pointed to young men's delayed and or absent traditional masculine markers, such as career, marriage, breadwinner, home ownership, as entwined with their collective avoidance of adult responsibilities and fixations on the trappings of boyhood amid trying to prove their manhood. Contrasting these problematics, opportunities for pro-social masculinities embodied by promoting gender equality and gender equity within intimate partner relationships and more broadly have surfaced as much needed new and improved contemporary norms for boys and men. Grieg and Flood, Michael Flood, 2020. Further, men's lobby and actions for gender transformative practices are increasingly visible in public debates, social activism, and policy development. Prasad et al., 2021. Also pushing gender equality and gender equity agendas are promises for mental health gains to prevent negative downstream outcomes, including intimate partner violence and suicide. World Health Organization. That's the source. Yet within the personal and ordinarily private domesticities where intimate partnerships tend to operate, masculinities are poorly understood. Hochschild. The current study maps masculinities in men's heterosexual intimate partner relationships to advance understandings of gender equality and gender equity and guide future health research, policy, and practice. Did you find it? Men building intimate partner relationships. Okay, I'll look at that in a second. It is 5:30. I got like a half an hour before I have to go pick up Lindsay, so you know. So I'll read more though. We got about a half an hour.
I sent you the photos.
I got it. Do you want me to read rest of the?
You might find that this withers your soul.
Okay. The rest of the do you want me to read the rest of the intro? It's like one more section, I think.
No, it's just the same thing. Men should be defined in terms of how they benefit women.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
we can't consider men as having a unique value in and of themselves. They always have to be doing something for women. We can't even recognize that the expectation that men constantly define themselves by doing shit for women means that women are inferior to men. Like you can't expect somebody to provide something without recognizing that they are providing something the other person doesn't have. Okay? So anyway, it's a bunch of ridiculous doublethink. I want to get to the end when he stops quoting stuff, and I don't remember when that was. I'm really sorry. It's in.
Yeah, I'll look and see.
It's like 5 minutes or 3 minutes.
5 minutes before the ending of the video.
Yeah.
All right, let me see.
Yeah, it's somewhere there. It's when he stops quoting the actual article. I should have written down the time stamp. I apologize, guys. But it's yeah, you gotta go forward. Are you there, Brian?
I'm looking. Yeah, I'm.
Oh, you're looking in the transcript. Okay,
I'm looking
so
in the transcript.
I found the photos, and they
I
are
got them.
the
I got
most
them. I was sharing them on the screen.
awful
a second ago,
corporate, like soulless photos I've ever seen.
All right, here we go. I think.
It's when he stops quoting. Let's try. Let's do a little roulette.
I think I'm just I will go right here. This is this? Trying to see what time. What's the timestamp? 46:30.
Okay. Let's see.
Can also lobby reflexive practices to promote mental health as upstream contributions.
He's still quoting.
Communities. I must say, the University of British Columbia is emerging as
major God, I remember the British. Good Lord.
Health studies on a
variety. The University of British Columbia was part of that whole scandal with Cafe, or the Canadian Center for Men and Families, like the whole kerfuffle, because they were once again blaming men for their own mental health issues, which we now know is a contributing factor to killing people with mental health issues.
Yeah.
Literally the University of British Columbia embraces stuff that kills people with mental health issues if they're men.
Yep.
Congratulations. But I guess maybe that's the point.
Maybe, Allison. I mean, like, we're talking about, well, like I said, like, if we're gonna give supposedly intellectual people their due, then whatever like consequences come out of what they say, they must have like meant that, because like what else could it be? I mean, are they? Look, you're either malicious or you're stupid. Take your choice. It's one of those. Like, I don't know. I mean, I would be the humble one and say I'm stupid, but I know these people would never admit that.
Well, malicious can also be you just don't care about the consequences.
Yes, that's malicious.
You don't care to walk through the steps to the consequences of what you're promoting. All right.
Yep.
Let's finish this off, because I think this is it. This is it.
Movements.
Yeah, I think
virtue signaling, including victimhood, self-identity, including male-female relationships, gender roles. I mean, I would pay attention to this university. It's at the forefront of many of the hottest button issues nowadays. So this is the story of men and women today. As women become more like men, men are lost. They haven't found a new identity. They denuded of their past roles. They don't know how they should behave, what they should do. They opt.
Can I propose something that I don't think these people answer? They say men have not found a new identity. Why should they have to do that? I'm just gonna let you don't have to answer the question. I'm just gonna put it out there. Why do these people insist that the way men have been must change? Because that's what they're saying.
Yep.
Right? It's like saying, like, you know, dogs are, I don't know, like they're always licking their own genitals and butthole. And they shouldn't have to do that. They should not do that anymore. They have to evolve and change. Why? You know, cats should be on leashes, and they should.
It's progress.
Yeah,
Right.
but
it's progress because
Yeah.
women's roles have evolved, even though they still apparently want
where
to have
evolved.
men.
No, women have not. That's what I'm saying, though. Women have not changed that much.
Yeah.
The world has not changed that much. Like how long? Okay, how long has the world been here? How long? How old is the Earth? How long have humanity
4
been
billion
here?
years. And
Like,
humanity
okay, so
probably
let's
been
say
here
4
about
billion years.
50
How long
million.
has humanity been here?
I think 2 million.
Okay, so let's go with that. I don't really know.
Depends on what you're
Why?
defining as
How could
humanity.
you be so arrogant as to believe that human beings, having been here for what, 4 million years, that they should change completely in like 30 years?
Yes.
How arrogant is that?
It's
Like,
quite
I'm
arrogant.
serious. Like, what? Why? And then people, like, how absolutely arrogant is it that social scientists think, oh, we're just gonna re-engineer people in like my lifetime. We're just gonna do that. We're gonna do that like in the next 50 years.
Yeah,
That
no.
is going to result in the catastrophe that we're now facing.
Okay, now let me take that from another angle. How arrogant and completely unself-aware is it to ask men to change their identity? So what this guy is saying is men should change their identity from taking their identity from protecting and providing for women to taking an identity from protecting and providing from women.
Yeah.
Like you say, oh, this is going to destroy. Like, it's not going to destroy humans. It's not going to destroy human society. It's just going to destroy the weird societies. That's it. And I hate to say it, but us Westerners, we're not the sum total of human existence. And it looks like we're not going to be much. We're not going to be anything more than a cow fart in terms of human history. So we don't have to continue, and our principles and ideals don't have to continue, and they certainly won't if we don't actually have children. It's not going to happen for us. So, but ultimately, what he's suggesting, oh, well, let's change men and women. No, that's not what's going to happen. Men and women aren't going to change necessarily. I mean, we're pretty damn flexible. I'll give us that. But fundamentally, we're probably not going to change. What's going to happen is you're going to destroy all of the things that you value trying it. Okay? And and again, what is hilarious to me is that he thinks he's changing anything when all he's doing is saying men should be defined by how I think or how I feel I provide for the women in my life, and I protect the women in my life, and I make sure their needs met, how I protect them from their frailties, because that's the only reason why you would protect the woman, because you've considered her to be lesser than you in some way, either physically or psychologically. The only reason why you'd provide for a woman is because you consider her less able, either physically or psychologically. Right? So this guy is like, well, I provide for my frail, lesser females in my life in this way, and those men over there provide in that way, and that makes them bad men who should be beaten with clubs and turned away from the hearth at the center of the freaking campsite. Like, it's the most primitive attitude, and it is. Not only is it arrogant to think that he's changing, or not only is it arrogant to demand that men change, it's arrogant for him to think he's changing a damn thing. Because he isn't. He's just doing more of the same. And the other fundamental thing is, what are they asking when they say men need to change their identity? All right? They're saying women don't need men, right? Well, how
Yep.
do men change their identity in a world where women don't need men, which is total bullshit, but let's just say it's true. Well, men have to stop caring about being needed by women. The end. But what did this paper do? Well, how do men define themselves by why women's needs and what those needs are? Okay. Well, you guys do this. You guys eat your own shit like a ideological human centipede until the end of Western civilization, because that's what you're doing. Nothing.
Yeah.
All right. What was
Play
there
some more or
Yeah, sure. Let's play. I think we've totally
For one of
annihilated
three
him, but
solutions,
let's.
none of
I
them
think
is
there's a little bit of
optimal,
ass
actually.
left to.
Well, I mean, when you're
Thread.
quoting, when you're basically like using like a paper that involved like Michael Kimmel and Michael Flood, you're basically putting a bullet in your own head.
None of
Oh,
them is
good
optimal.
lord.
And
So
contrary to what this
tedious.
study says, I think heartbreak, depression, anxiety, and mental illness actually increase in marriages and relationships, don't decrease.
What are you
Oh.
talking about, you dipshit?
So he's
This
saying
isn't even-
married couples are more depressed, more
Yes,
like
no,
unhappy.
Wrong. Wrong. Now shut up and shuffle off, you child. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I
It's
think
sort of
that's
sad you
precisely
could get this old but remain this childish. Okay, keep going.
On purpose.
why these institutions, romantic relationships, intimate relationships, and marriages, formalized intimate relationships, why these institutions are dying. Because they're no longer functional, and they no longer provide the benefits that they used to.
Okay, wait, stop.
Will-
I get the sense we're gonna...
He's happy about this.
Okay.
He's happy about this.
Okay, I get the sense, and I could be wrong. So we can do a little wager, which is really not going to amount to anything, but I think that we're about to embark on why he gets to dip his wick in multiple women. The ideological logic behind that. Okay, let's go. I could be
All right.
I could be completely wrong. I don't even remember what he said, so I'm pretty sure I did
look
read it,
into,
but
let's say, the beginning of the 21st century. We need new models, new institutions, new arrangements, and a new understanding between what used to be women and who used to be men. We're heading towards a new era where people with vaginas will be in control and bring with them a totally different psychological profile and baggage. And we
oh yeah, okay, so yeah, once again, let's go back. Remember he said that women compete because they became men or something?
Yeah.
Women, okay, but isn't that sort of transphobic? Women with vaginas are going to be in control? Are you sure?
No. He's being specific. The fact that he's saying with vaginas suggests that women without vaginas, women with penises will have less power.
Yeah, but isn't that transphobic? Like, aren't we supposed to not care about that at this point?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would hold him to that standard because I don't know if he's a progressive. So.
Yeah, well, we just watched an entire video about why she should basically be the only man that women desire because he's the one that protects and provides for them in the way that they should be. At least that's what it felt like to me. And feeling, as we all know, feels are reals. Okay. I'm still curious if I think we almost got a little bit of the this is the justification for why I should be able to dip my wick in multiple women with the whole we need new arrangements other than marriage. But let's see if he comes a little bit more out with it.
All right.
To get adapted to this, we need to develop positive adaptations to this, both as men and as women. And we are very late in doing this. And this is a much bigger risk, much greater threat than climate change. Because the tension and attraction between men and women has been the driving force, the engine and the fuel of all civilizations, bar none.
Okay, so he basically says what I've been saying for 5 years? But he's in no way equipped to actually take that first step across the chasm. That search for the Holy Grail step. That step that requires courage and a desire not to believe these facile lies.
Yeah.
We're pretty close here, Brian. Let's do it.
All right, I'll finish.
Concept, very construct of civilization, is an outcome of this intricate interplay between the respective charm and magic of both genders. Okay, so we've taken away gender roles, we've obliterated sex differences, and now what? What's the alternative? All these movements, feminism at the forefront, but not only feminism, Me Too, all these movements are about negative.
Wait, you just said feminism and Me Too. Like, those are like the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? All these movements? You mean this one movement? And the consequences of said movement? Okay.
Identity. These movements know what they want to fight. They know what they want to destroy. They know what they wish to reverse.
Well,
But
they
none of
do,
them
but I
came
think
out.
it's much more about they know what they want to control and get money from. Like, they're not destroying it.
Yeah, Me Too is about power.
It's about money.
It always was.
Oh God, Me Too. Like, I'm honestly, guys, Me Too is just possibly the most cynical cash grab in human history. It is actually pretty gross. All right, let's continue.
With a positive identity, with a vision of the future, with how things might look optimally, with a utopia. And so we've ended up in a dystopia. Yes,
Okay, so we've ended up in a dystopia, but is why? It can't be because of the traditionalists.
It's because of the yeah, what that is, like, why then? Well,
Yeah,
the
why?
traditionalism
Why are
is
we
bad,
here?
so
Why are you here? Maybe it's because of these facile lies that you keep clinging to. The fact that you can't take that first step because it requires courage. And the only way to get over the chasm is to take that first step that requires courage. So we just mill around, and everything keeps getting worse. We mill around constructing ideological human centipedes and everything just gets worse. Where these academics just eat each other's shit and excrete more shit into each other's mouths in an endless cycle of entropy. I know that looks disgusting, but isn't that what's happening? Seems. All right.
should
Yeah, we're pretty close. Let's finish it. Like,
all
a
right.
minute.
and demolished and destroyed and eradicated and obliterated many, many things, many of which were bad, some of which were good. And we destroyed everything. So now we look around and it's a wasteland. Not a single tree in sight. Not a brook or a stream bubbling anywhere. Everything is dead. Martian landscape. And no one seems to have succeeded to propose a plan for renewal, resurrection, and renovation. And this might spell the very end of the human species.
I'm pretty sure the Amish can.
No, we'll be okay, because there are people who aren't listening to all this commie gobbledygook, and they're just making babies and homeschooling their kids. I see it every day. So, you guys go ahead and pontificate and intellectualize and give your speeches in universities, and you'll just kill off those generations with your genetic dead-end ideas, while regular people are just going to keep on making babies. And this is either going to become an like basically a fundamentalist society, or it's going to become an Islamic society, because one of those is going to win out. So there you go.
Yeah,
Enjoy your secular modernist world while it lasts, because y'all aren't making babies and they are. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Welcome to obsolescence. But all right. This is, I mean,
You want a really
He's
interesting bit of
recognizing-
trivia about this guy, Professor Sam Vaknin?
Sure. I would love
All
to
right,
hear.
I looked him up on Wikipedia. So he is eldest of 5 children, born to Sephardi Jewish immigrants. His mother from Turkey, blah blah blah. It was about his relationship. In the mid 1980s, he became aware of difficulties in his relationship with his fiancée and that he had mood swings. In 1985, he sought help from a psychiatrist who diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder. Vaknin did not accept the diagnosis at the time.
Oh, good grief.
So he was diagnosed with narcissism.
Surprise! What a surprise that a man that said basically is saying, well, all these other men, they're the bad guys and they're narcissists. Oh God, it's all projection. But he's right. It is a wasteland. It is a wasteland. I mean, I hope that the people who are breeding can manage to make it work for everybody else who's fucking up society. I think that ultimately we are going to be dealing with a massive and very painful collapse if we don't get our act together. Like the more, I guess, I don't know if I want to call myself progressive, but I'm okay with change. You know, I'm okay with civil rights for minorities, that kind of stuff. I think most so-called conservatives are as well. Honestly, it's a Christian concept, guys. This idea that we care about people for just being people, very Christian. That's something that comes from the church. Like the first civil rights movements were very much religiously based.
Oh yeah, so are the abolitionist movements.
Yes, it was all about this concept of us all being one in God, you know, and the meek shall inherit the earth. A lot of our so-called secular democratic values are fundamentally Christian values, just dressed up in new clothing. And I would like to preserve what we have. I think they're good values. Like Christianity functionally believes that all men and women deserve dignity, and they deserve recognition of their personal merits. They deserve a creator that loves them and wants the best for them. You know, these are good values. There's a lot of good stuff in that. And we seem to have just really thrown it out. And what's hilarious is the people who are acting out the very thing, like Christian values is about care and concern for the people who are not well off. I mean, honestly, like caring about widows and children is more like a universal social value. But Christianity does take it to like a higher degree, I think, in terms of recognizing the idea that every person should be treated well, and also that people should be judged based on how they act, not who they are, right? These are good values, and they inform secular humanism in all of its capacities. It's ridiculous to assume to say that isn't the case. Go look at systems of morality throughout history. Go look at them. Like, let me tell you, they were very different. For example, if in many cultures throughout all of human history, if you were conquered militarily, you became livestock, right? You literally, like, if you submitted yourself, allowed yourself to be submitted to a greater physical power, you lost the right to call yourself human because you submitted. And humanity, a human was supposed to either overcome or die or kill themselves in the face of military force. Otherwise, you weren't human, and they could do whatever they wanted to you. And also, if you were born of people who were forced into slavery, you were a slave because it was a generational thing. Okay, and all that happened was that you lost some ancestor way back then lost a war, and you lost the right to call yourself human. You became livestock, right? That is an attitude that Christianity directly opposed. And I would argue that sort of sprung out of like the Roman attitude, but I won't get into that. So, I mean, there's all kinds of good stuff there. We should preserve it. You know, it's something that maybe is trickier. Like, it's trickier to make this stuff work with the human instincts around reproduction. but it's a problem that's solvable. The only problem is that individuals like this enact the same primitive instincts. You know, like all he's doing here is saying those men are over there don't deserve women. They don't deserve sexual access to the fragile females. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to beat my chest and make sure those men stay away because I'm the one who can provide and protect for the fragile females. You know, it's just more elephant seal bullshit. And
Yeah.
what's his ultimate conclusion?
I mean, unless he's not straight, which is also possible.
I guess that is true. But, you know, a gay man can still act out the same kind of reproductive instincts of any other man.
Yeah, but like maybe not because he wants to I understand that, but I'm saying like maybe there is less cause to care about like,
women.
You know, what happened? Well, no, the future of the species.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. But so ultimately, his solution is guess what? Blame men. Men need to evolve.
Yeah.
If women do bad things, that's because of men. Okay, all right. So we're blaming men again. Okay, let's have another round of that. Let's just another round of poop for the ideological human centipede. Surely something other than shit will come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done. Whatever.
All right, let's wrap it up then.
Yeah, indeed.
We don't want to look at the pictures, right? They're kind of soul crushing.
Yeah, they're. You can put them up, and we can.
I did. I put them up.
I mean, like, what is this shit? This is the men building intimate partner something. What is this?
Oh my god, this is cringe. We're
like,
doing yoga together, guys. Like you're creating men that women will not find attractive. Like this is the thing. Like you don't ask what women want. You presume that men and women just have to be re-engineered, and then you tell men that they have to like this, but you don't say anything to women at all. Okay. And when it comes down to it, women are like, where are the men? And they're doing that right now. They're like, where are the men?
This is beyond not creating men that women won't like. This is soulless.
Oh my god, we're on brunch.
There is no humanity in this. Where are people? This is all just material shit.
It is. It's materialist. Yeah.
It's just materialist shit. Okay, there's a person. Happy ending. New beginning. I guess they got married. Congratulations.
We're equals. This is a reference to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Movie about a couple that fought each other.
At least it's two humans.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like what the hell is this? This is just materialist crap. It is
this marketed at women? Let her choose. Do you want to work or do you want to use the vacuum? This is bad. This is like some art student's thesis.
No, this thesis would get an F, Brian.
No, not today. You get an A just for not even for trying, like
just for showing up.
You can just be like, look, my art project is nothing because I am nothing, and the teacher be like, oh shit, dude, that's an A.
That's so profound, man.
Yeah, deep, bro. You can't put that in a gallery. Take that, establishment. All right, I'm done.
Oh god, yeah, okay. I don't even want to see the like.
I've lost the will to live.
Yeah, I know. Like these pictures are like. I mean, it would be fine if it was just like a bunch of people having fun or maybe some actual intimacy, but this just like most of it is just consumer goods. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, buy some pots and pans. I know.
Well, let's start an ad for IKEA.
We're gonna become dog parents.
Ugh.
All right.
I don't know. Like dogs are pretty intensive, and they can, they can deepen a relationship, I think. But
I love JoJo. He is here, laying here on his side. But he is not a substitute for a real child. Like if I could have a real child, I would have JoJo too. But I think that when they push the dog thing, I think that it's not just like, oh yeah, dogs are nice. It's more like dogs are a sufficient substitute for children. And that I'm telling you, this guy is probably really antinatalist. And I think that is a bias that affects his work. I mean, he's a Unitarian unilateralist, basically. And he goes to a Unitarian church. And those people are woke as fuck. So, I mean, I used to not give a shit about them, but they are woke as fuck. Anyway, okay, let's wrap it up. I gotta go pick up Lindsay. Allison dropped. She's back. Allison, are you back?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was a complete idiot. I just hit the I closed the window. I'm sorry.
Oh shit.
That was completely inexcusable. Like, God. Yeah, no, nothing really happened to me. Although we have been having periodic blackouts, which is why we started a bit late, but like we always start late, so I guess that's not really an excuse. But yeah, I just accidentally I closed the
It's fine.
video. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up then.
Yeah, let's
go.
Let's finish this. Like, maybe it's just I just couldn't stand it anymore. You know what? I'm gonna just look away from these photos because they're just
Yeah, I could stop sharing. That's it. We don't need that anymore.
they're so freaking soul destroying. Like, why?
Yeah,
this
they're
doesn't
lame.
represent human relationships. It doesn't even.
No, it's just like scones
Yes.
and like
Instagram photos of
here's a
really,
tree.
really- yeah, mid lunches. Like, oh look, I had a milkshake for lunch, and like this has
Mhm.
nothing to do with human bonding. You weird ideological fucktards. Okay. All right. If you like this content, please consider sending us a tip at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. We get the full benefit of whatever funds you send, and you get to make contact with an actual human being rather than YouTube's AI, which, you know, probably won't like your comment for whatever reason. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us a message. Tell us we're not screaming into the void. Give us your thoughts. We enjoy talking about them, reading them. Give us something to think about. feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Eventually, we will also be having our monthly fundraiser at feedthebadger.com/support. But right now, what I want to do is I want to suggest that you guys set up a subscription, because that really helps us pay the bills monthly as well. And you can do so at feedthebadger.com/subscribe. And you know, you get some perks. You get access to the archive, you get access to the community on Discord. But the biggest perk of all is that you help us out and you make sure that we can continue to do this work. And that's important. And really, you guys are the only ones who can, because nobody else can take that first step into the chasm that requires courage. That step that Indy took to get over to the Holy Grail. Indiana Jones took to get over to the Holy Grail. You guys, if you're into pop culture, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, feedthebadger.com/subscribe to have an ongoing relationship with us, join our community, see our archive, and help us out in the best way possible. So back to you, Brian.
All right. Well, before I wrap it up, I did get one more Super Chow from Great Indoors. He just gave us $5. He did not include a message, but thank you, Great Indoors. All right. So with that said, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. There is a link to the full video in the description so you can look at it yourself. And please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of, well, I didn't change it, so I guess it's Rantzerker. I'm just going to leave it, because I don't think there's enough characters for maintaining frame. It's going to make it even shorter. So, and we will talk to you all in the next video. Have a good weekend.
Are machines, dude. Okay, they are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.